Wow, I'm shocked you brought LVP back onto the show. Now, we go to the jewelry store with Sutton. Now, look, I like Sutton. I've told you this. I like her. She's one of my favorites on the show, I think, currently. And last week, I just came for Satine. I told her life was tough because she hasn't had her own horse since she was a young girl. It's been like 40 something years. Now she has Santos. I gotta come for you again, Sutton. I mean, life is tough. Life is tough. She's celebrating 40. Look, I do not think it's easy to have a retail store. And just so you know where Sutton's retail store is, like it's in the heart of it in West Hollywood. That's not a cheap rent. It's a smaller store, but it's a great location. It's not a cheap rent. So, I mean, it's a hard thing to have a retail store. I mean, Kyle's retail store didn't last. Lisa Rinna's retail store didn't last. They had retail stores. It's a hard thing. Dorit's space in that warehouse. Remember that when we went to that different floor and we saw what Beverly Beach really was like? So good for you, Sutton. So I'm not taking anything away from Sutton, but now we're celebrating 4 years and she wants to show her daughter, Porter, what it's like to be an independent woman who makes their own money and goes to work. And I'm not taking any of that away from her. I mean, you are getting $300,000 a month in alimony. So that's not independent, I guess. I mean, when you're married and you are a stay-at-home and you give up your life, yeah, of course. You built this man up, you stood by him, you had his children, you didn't work, you gave up your time in the workforce, and now you're being kicked to the curb. You got to get something, right? Because you could have been working, you could have had your own career. So I'm not taking alimony away from any woman out there that's getting it. You guys get your bags. But I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was a little overstating of what it's like to go through tough times and be an independent woman. And we're looking at a $450,000 bracelet. You know what I'm saying? $80,000 earrings. I think she bought the $68,000 ones. They were very nice, I have to say. I really like that. Also, when you walk into like Louis Vuitton or you walk into Chanel, okay, I'm lost in the weeds again, or you walk into Dior and there's like a price tag on a bag, 4,600. You give the money or the credit card and you get the bag. You don't negotiate at Louis Vuitton. You don't negotiate at Prada. But when you go to a jeweler like such and they quote you a price, girl, speak up. You don't just say okay to the 68,000. You always negotiate. You're like, excuse me, that's more than double. I didn't want to pay more than 34. Between you and I'll pay the 68. I don't give a fuck. Right? And then they start coming down. Okay, we can take 10% off. 10%, that's only 62,000. That's way above. I mean, I guess I could come up to 40. Let's meet in the middle at 50. I think she could have got those earrings for 50 grand. I do. Satine, call me, take me with you next time. And then buy me a martini afterwards, girl. You like your martinis. So, okay, she's teaching her daughter. She gives very good advice to her daughter about we work. Oh, we do work. But, come on, girl. Life is not that tough, Miss Satine. Satine, Satine. We see Marcellus. We go through and we see everyone getting ready for, I mean, I can't help but think that you mean to tell me that a new housewife, Anne-Marie, has had like no at-home alone scenes with Marcellus all season except for the first time we met him? I am convinced it was all edited out due to the allegations that resurfaced against him. Again, if this were like a Teresa or a Kyle, we would sweep it under the rug. Hey, we have Tom Sandoval now saying that Scandoval he's comparing it to OJ and George Floyd, and he ain't getting fired, okay? Because Vanderpump Rules ratings are over 1.3 million. It's the highest rated show on the network right now. So once again, I go back to selective termination. We would never have fired Jackson, Stassi, and Kristen if if like in hindsight, because then the show was ruined for 2 years, I think that they don't regret that decision now, but they did. So I feel it's all selective termination. So Anne Marie, first year housewife, she's like Jenny N from Salt Lake, get rid of her. But if Kyle's husband, or I guess that's a bad example, because I mean, she's about to not have a husband. Oh my God, that was such a bad joke. But you know what I mean? If Teresa does something bad, this law, everyone's, oh, Teresa's going to be fired because of this lawsuit against. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Oh, speaking of which, I read something where I don't know if you saw this. There was this rumor going around that like Teresa has become so expensive for the network and so demanding and so difficult to work for that this is her last season. False, false, false. Has Teresa become so expensive? Yeah. I mean, that's a problem. Has she become difficult to work with? She's not. I've been at filmings. Teresa doesn't care. She shows up, she wants the paycheck, she does her job, and she goes home. Really, I've seen it with my own eyes from afar. She's not difficult to work with. She really doesn't care. She doesn't get into, she will literally wind Teresa up and just tell her where to go. She's a perfect employee and great at the job. Just get your money and go. Isn't that how the Luann de Lesseps? Kyle's good at it too. I mean, why care? Telling you, I've said it before. You bring your B game to corporate America. They don't want your A game. There's a way to do it. There's a formula. If you want to weigh in and give an opinion, great, but just give one opinion, not two. So Teresa is not getting fired. I saw this on some blog this past week that she's become difficult to work with and really expensive, and Louis becoming a liability. The only thing true in that statement is that she makes a lot of money. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. And if we need to save money on New Jersey, I mean, there's a lot of other ways to save money. And I really think after this next season, we are going to see some changes. I've said it before. I still think Margaret is I don't know. I don't know. I think if you need to save money, to me, Margaret's one of the ones that is like likely to go. I don't know. I don't know, because then Dolores makes a lot of money. Dolores makes more than Margaret. She was there an extra year. But Dolores, just that middle ground, that's what they want. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not going to predict it. There's no sense in predicting what's going to happen. Let's focus. So we see Marcellus. I think that's why I think all these scenes were edited out. I guess that means Anne-Marie may not make it. I just said I wasn't going to predict, but I still think she's going to come back. I don't know. Maybe she won't, but there he is. Now Garcelle is getting ready with her glam. Girl, Garcelle has gone full Hollywood on us. She don't go nowhere without that glam. But she says, oh, she's gonna lip sync. I mean, that's not nice. And by the way, because Madonna just fell off the chair in Seattle and like the track kept going. And even this whole tour, I've gone to 3 nights. Everyone's like, she lip syncs a lot of it. Does it matter? I guess that's what I'm getting to. Like,